I'm Batma Tarshini, metric number 267634. Today I will discuss regarding the case on Valeant Pharmaceuticals company, which is based in Canada. The story began in 2008 when the newly appointed CEO, Mr. Michael Pearson, started off with his acquisition spree, whereby he started acquiring little pharmaceutical companies in order to expand and generate more income. Basically, we will look at how the business model adopted by that company has affected their sustainability on the long run. Because the sustainability of a company depends on the industry of the company placed, and also regarding to the business ethics that they have followed up with. In this case, Valeant Pharmaceuticals, in the pharmaceutical industry, R&D serves as the lifeblood for the industry, whereby expenditures invested in R&D, new drugs and new medication, which will be developed over a span of more than 10 years in average, and later been US patent and then commercialized. Hence, this is a long process and it needs a brainstorming activity or a heavier brain to work on the back end of a company in order to generate these medicines and generate the income. Hence, Valeant Pharmaceuticals decided to take a shortcut, whereby instead of developing their own medicine and coming up with a price and US patent and all this process that goes up to 8 to 10 years, they have taken a shortcut whereby they decided to acquire companies, fellow pharmaceutical companies that has produced and commercialized their medicines. Hence, Valeant's intervention into that company will decide on the bit of drug pricing and also their distribution processes. So this is how they focused and overcome their struggle in the beginning stages, and that is how Valeant Pharmaceuticals emerged as one of the top companies, which bidded up to 325 USD for per stock. Later that year, Valeant also strengthened their acquisition spree by making ties with Philador, a famous pharmaceutical company based in Canada as well, whereby they started to slash R&D expenditures by continuing acquisition of pharmaceutical giants to make the market and set sky-high prices for drugs and medications developed by the acquired companies themselves, as I mentioned earlier. Now, the early investors in the Valeant company didn't bother much on the consequences, because all that mattered was the profit and the return that they have gained. Now, the early investors gained 30 times more returns than usual returns that a pharmaceutical company could give back to its shareholders, which is considerably very high for a pharmaceutical company. And that's the reason why the shareholders did not intervene much on Valeant Pharmacy's approach towards expansion. Things started to heat up when the Valeant's investigation on the Valeant Pharmaceutical regarding their drug pricing and distribution policies in the US being prosecuted. The same month, Valeant immediately cut ties with Philador, who has been facing the similar condition for accusations on drug pricing gouging. Valeant accused for price gouging on patents and prescribed medicines for patients in the US. Even it has been proven that a 30-year-old drug called the Spirin, which acquired by Valeant in 2010, saw a price increase of more than 3,000%. So that's skyrocket high price that is set by Valeant in order to gain incredibly high profit, and which is very greedy, and also which is unethical for a pharmaceutical company, because the main purpose of a pharmaceutical industry or a company is to develop medicines in order to overcome medicational complication faced by fellow patients. Hence, that incident has caused Michael Pearson to step down as CEO. Now, in the 2015 alone, Valeant raised the price of 56 drugs, right up to approximately 81% from its portfolio, according to an analysis by Deutsche Bank. Valeant Pharmaceuticals' downfall started surfacing in the year 2014 when the Canadian firm Veritas Investment Research Company put a sell ranking on Valeant's company due to the flawed business model and their questionable accounting methodologies. Okay, within the next 6 months, Valeant faces a downfall again, whereby their stock prices fell almost 90% due to the political condemnation of pricing and also their unsustainable growth model. As I mentioned before, their growth model was inadequate for the pharmaceutical industry, which failed to overcome the obstacles and sustain for a long run. And also their questionable business practices, whereby they overlooked on the importance of gap compliance, and this is done on a surface level to shut their shareholders from questioning them. Things started catching the spotlight when, in September 2015, the former CEO of Turning Pharmaceutical, Mr. Martin Skurley, was arrested for similar price gouging on drugs. And once this has been going on, the spotlight smirched on Valeant Pharmaceutical as well, because the similar condition, the similar problem is being faced by that company on the long run. Now, even the US presidential candidate at that time, Mrs. Hillary Clinton, started condemning the company, and that is how the political condemnation has resulted a negative downfall towards the company. And now they have admitted that they have been investigated by the US House of Representatives and Senators on the price gouging done over the years.